kind of a big life decision, and I felt like it was my major fork in the road. The Sagittarius in me was totally like, take the job. Remember high school when we have to figure out what major we want to do or what college we want to go to. So I was unsure, and so senior year I knew that I definitely wanted to be in the arts. So I did all the different mediums, including fashion design, and realized like that's where I wanted to go. That's the direction that I wanted to take my career. And so I applied to Otis College of Art and Design. That's how I figured out that I wanted to do fashion design. I was super ambitious and I wanted like a quicker way to get into fashion design. And so then I left Otis and I went to FIDM. And then while I was there, I made friends with the faculty and the professors and the staff at the Career Center. So I got a call 3 months before I graduated FIDM, and they were asking if I wanted to be an assistant stylist. And I was like, what is that? And then they were like, oh, it's, we're not quite sure what the job is. They just said that this is, we're looking for this role and someone to just come in for an interview. So I said, is it paid? And they're like, yes, it's paid. All right, I'm there, And so I showed up to the interview and there were 5 other girls. Some heads had to roll. It was very cutthroat from the beginning. Like I felt like I was in like an episode of Rachel Zoe's reality show where everyone's trying to get the job or whatever, right? And so, I ended up getting the job. And when I discovered that celebrities didn't dress themselves, like I was dressing like Jessica Simpson, Mariah Carey, Kate Bosworth, like all these people that I just didn't know. Like I was explaining, like styling is so different from fashion design or design in general. So I missed designing. I, was kind of tired of pulling and shopping. So I left, and then I called my mentor at FIDM and asked him, if he had any leads to let me know. And this is kind of what happened. And this is what I'm looking to do. And so he was like, well, I have a friend who's a costume designer and she's looking for a seamstress. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, I can sew. Well, I could do this. So I grabbed my sewing machine and showed up, and she only needed me for a week. So before I left, I showed her my portfolio and let her know that I was a designer. And she was intrigued. I said, before I left, I said, if you ever need an assistant, like, I'm happy to help. So, here's my number. You have my number, just give me a call. 3 weeks later, she called me and I assisted her on So You Think You Can Dance, season 2. Then she asked me to go out on tour. And that was the first season that show went out on tour. I came back, and obviously with freelance, I didn't have a job. I applied to Forever 21 as the knitwear designer. I was there maybe like 6-7 months. My parents were super happy. They were like, okay, we know Forever 21. Okay, how much are you get? What's your salary? Do you get health benefits? Okay, I'm happy with your decision going into fashion design. So I was like, okay, at least my parents are happy. 6 months later, I got a call from the American Idol producers who also produced So You Think You Can Dance and asked me if I wanted to be the costume designer on that show. I kind of sat on it for 2 weeks because it was kind of a big life decision, and I felt like it was my major fork in the road. Do I stay on this path where I can eventually grow in this big corporation and know how much I'm getting paid, know that I have a job, tomorrow? Or do I go freelance and know that after this gig, I might not have another job? And the Sagittarius in me was totally like, take the job.
Wake up.
You have one last performance. Julie.
Ever since Mom died, everyone's been waiting for me to snap. I can't do this anymore. I'm so sorry, Mom.
Whoa! How do we get back here?
I feel like the show is about embracing who you are. Bad things happen as much as good things happen, and, overcoming those situations because that's part of life. And I feel like, Julie's a really great example of the storytelling with costumes that I was able to, I guess, tell the story. You know, she started off the show, you know, with muted tones and oversized, kind of like hiding, you know, herself, and her hair pulled back under a cap. And then like every episode and towards the end, you know, you see her just becoming more colorful and coming into herself, and, you know, you really being able to see who, you know, she really is, you know. And as we all know, clothing, you know, just says so much about a person without, you know, you even having to talk to them. You just kind of think like, oh, that person's stylish, or like that person is a college student, or that person's, you know, I mean, that's kind of what you're doing with a show like Julie and the Phantoms, or any show, is, you know, you're kind of giving the character's backstory. You know, when I read a script about Julie's description, it's like, it's 12 pages long. I have to create a look that visually describes those 12 pages. When you're watching at home, you're already like, oh, okay, I know. Like, and you have a vibe, like you're feeling a certain kind of way about that character. I feel like the message of the series, I think I touched on it before, is, you know, bad things can happen. Something might happen in your life that might hurt you, you know, as much as, you know, and those things are just as important. Like, the hurt that you feel is just as important as the happiness that you feel, because it makes the whole you. Julie and the Phantoms really did touch people's lives in this way. You take that hurt and you turn it into passion, and you turn it into something beautiful, or your craft, or, you know, push it towards something that you know, really want to achieve or have in your life, you know. And I feel like Julie did that with music, and obviously she had some friends along the way to help her find that way, you know. But and I think that's real life, you know. Some things might happen to you, but just know that you're not the only one, you know. Everyone feels different kinds of pain, and through that you find friendship. And I mean, who wouldn't want to design Star Wars? That's totally my jam. And, you know, and Quentin Tarantino, you know, like, I mean, I think those would really kind of get my creativity flowing, like in a different kind of way. And I feel like they need me.